So hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since we did just like a sit down talk kind of video. I used to do them all the time. I used to do them once a week. They were called Friday Chit Chats and we used to sit down and talk about life and everything that we've been up to. But the last year has just been so crazy that I've been focusing mostly on reaction, reviews, interviews, stuff like that. But I thought it would be nice to just sit and talk. Oh my god, there's toothpaste all over my sleeve. The one video I do where I'm like, yeah, let's just sit down and chat and like vibe. I could have at least washed the toothpaste off. We'll just roll up the sleeves and pretend like we didn't see it. Obviously this video is going to have structure to it. We're just going to be talking about the year. We're going to talk about the year in general. I'll give you just kind of a quick rundown update as to where I'm at, what I've been up to. And we're going to talk about everything 2024. So we're going to talk about shows, we're going to talk about albums, we're going to talk about music. Thought it would be fun to do like a year in review where I just like talk about some stuff, rank some stuff. You know, I'm a lover of stuff and things. And there was a lot of stuff and things that I loved this year. Quick update, next week, as this is being filmed, sometime next week we're going to be starting reactions for What If, and we're going to be starting reactions for Squid Game, whenever that goes up, Squid Game Season 2. The plan is to post the usual edited versions here on YouTube and then put up the more extended versions on Patreon. You guys will see them when you see them. It's going to be going up soon, probably as soon as they're dropped. I really didn't want to have to like record over Christmas, but I'm so excited for both shows that I'm like, it has to be done. So that's what's going to be going on content-wise over Christmas here on YouTube. I also have loads of plans for the new year as well. There's going to be some interviews sprinkled in around the place because you guys know I adore interviews. It's my favourite style of content. And I think I have 2 or 3 coming up soon, so keep an eye out for them as well. Man, this year has been so crazy. This year it really has. I've oh Jesus, there's makeup on the hoodie as well, lads. I look like I just rolled out of bed. I assure you I didn't. It's been a crazy year. There's like life stuff, not to be a downer, but I had 2 grandparents pass away this year over the summer within a month of each other. There was a month between them, and unexpected as well. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and yeah, it like knocks the wind out of your sails when you know shit like that happens. So I feel like I was just cruising for a while, but I feel like I'm getting my groove back. Things are starting to settle down again, making plans for next year. Oh my god, next year is going to be crazily chaotic. If I could speak, that would be fantastic considering I do it for a living. Next year is going to be great. I'm so excited. I'm in the middle of booking like things for next year and I just can't wait. Can't wait to share it with you guys. But yeah, this year's been weird. It's been bittersweet. I got a lot done this year, which we'll go into, we'll talk about and we'll review and all that kind of fun stuff. But like, of course there was downs as well, and I feel like people don't talk about that online. It's always the positives, it's always the highlights, you know, the reels of your year in review. What was it? How great was it? There was pretty low shit moments too, so I'm not like just blasting by them and being like everything is fucking aces, because there was times when it was not. But as the positive peppy little bitch that I am, I do want to talk about some of the positives and look back on the year in general. I'm always doing stuff, right? I'm always going places, running around the place like a headless little chicken, crying at events, crying my heart out, sobbing down the back of concert arenas. It's what I do. And this year I went to 2 conventions, I think. Was it 2? Was that even this year? So I went to Crossroads in Birmingham and I went to Liverpool Comic Con. Now Crossroads was something that had been on my mind for so long. By the way, we're starting off this video talking about like events and things that I did, and we're going to be, I don't want to say ranking them because that's kind of mean for events, but we're going to be ranking them kind of. So if you're a con goer and you love going to conventions, you know most conventions have their own rundown. They have their own little way of doing things, their own layout. I've been to like a good few conventions. I've been to conventions in Ireland, outside of Ireland. I've been to specifically niche conventions. Crossroads was completely different. So Crossroads is a Supernatural themed convention where they have guests from Supernatural and usually another show. So when I went back in like March or April, or it was sometime at the start of the year, it was Supernatural and The Boys. It was the 2 shows they were focusing on. It was held at the Hilton, it was an absolutely fantastic location. It was like on the grounds of the airport. It was everything was very close to each other. So for somebody who was just flying in for the convention, it was perfect, pristine. You didn't have to go into the city, you didn't have to go travelling forever with buses and taxis and trains and shite. I am easily frazzled, okay? If I see more than two steps included in getting from A to B, I'm not going to want to go. So I went to Crossroads. It was a fantastic convention. I think it was well organised, but it was very different to anything that I was used to. So if you're looking into going to Crossroads Con, just like look into past years, look up past videos of it to give yourself a lay of the layout, like a rundown of the layout, because it is kind of different they have the days scheduled as to what time things are happening, like most cons would have, but it's very specific, and you will know when you're meeting people. You get a little information booklet before the con. It is very informative. I just found it a little bit confusing to get the hang of, but by the Sunday I kind of knew the layout, and I was down, I was fine, I had it. But the crazy thing about Crossroads, right? Oh my god, let me tell you a story about Crossroads. If you haven't seen my video, I did a whole vlog on Crossroads, but if you haven't seen it, I accidentally met Misha Collins in the fucking airport on the way to the con. He is one of my absolute loves in life. I think he's a fantastic person, individual, but Castiel is like one of my favourite characters. I'm not going to tell you how many supernatural tattoos I have, because it's embarrassing. But as a chronic oversharer, I have at least 3 specifically for Cass. So I had to go from Dublin, right? I went from Dublin airport over to Birmingham to get to the convention. So I'm sitting there in the airport, hardly any makeup on, I'm eating a sandwich, I'm tired, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to leave my family, I am a home bird. I went to this convention alone. So I'm sitting in the airport, eating some food, supping on a bottle of water, listening to Taylor Swift, and I look up and it's like the gates of heaven themselves had opened in front of me. I thought I was hallucinating a small bit. Misha Collins was just standing in front of me. I went to this convention specifically to meet him. I talked to him for a little bit. I told him exactly that. I'm going to the con to meet you. I've waited 13 or 14 years to meet you, and some of the cast and the show means a lot to me. Cass means a lot to me. He was really nice. He looked kind of jet lagged, but he was super kind. I didn't take a selfie, and to be fair to him, he did offer. He stood up and offered to take a selfie, and I was like, well, no, because, it's okay. I have photos with you booked over the weekend. I have a photo up. Do you even want to take one? He was like, I'm kind of jet lagged. And I was like, fair enough, I'll see you at the con. I kind of hate that I went up to him, because I feel like I bothered him, even though he was very sweet, he was very nice. I didn't put him on blast. I didn't tweet out, oh my god, Misha Collins is in Terminal 1 of Dublin Airport, whatever the fuck. So I wasn't annoying about it, but still, I feel like I annoyed him. I feel like I'm an inconvenience anyway. If I ever go near anyone or talk to anyone, I'm like, I've annoyed you, I apologise. But he was really, really sweet, and then it kicked off the weekend and made it crazy and unforgettable. So it was a great convention. And then Liverpool, I went to Liverpool Con as well, Liverpool Comic Con, a week or 2 after that. It was a very busy month for me, whatever month that was, I can't even remember. And Liverpool was just next level, let me tell you. So Crossroads is all held in a hotel. It's small, it's very small, very intimate. I liked how it was ran. I really liked how it was ran. Liverpool, hardcore opposite. It is a massive convention centre. There's multiple floors, multiple doors. There's one-way systems. So if you go in a door, you can't come out it. If you accidentally go out a door, you can't go back in. But I really loved it though. I'm more kind of used to the layout of a convention like that. So Liverpool Comic Con was right up my street. I met Orlando Bloom, which, one of the loves of my life, let me tell you. Oh my god, I was sweating from my hands, I was sweating from my eyelashes. He's divine, and he told me he liked my shirt, and I've had that shirt since I was a literal child. I kept it all these years. I was lucky enough to be able to put my hand on it and find it in my wardrobe. I had to annihilate the wardrobe to find it. Same convention, I also met Jared Padalecki, who was an absolute sweetheart. I don't know why I was so nervous to meet this man. I think it's because he's so tall, and he is strikingly beautiful, that I was like, oh my god, I'm so nervous, whatever. Got up to him, got up to his table because I had an autograph and I had a photo up. Sweetest man. If you were ever at a convention and he's in the vicinity, run to his table. I'm really happy that the conventions this year went the way they did, because I hadn't met any Supernatural cast members ever. I met Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but that was in a Walking Dead setting. In terms of Supernatural members, I had never met anybody, and then this year I was like, I'm going to meet as many as I can. And there was that small fear that was this has been my comfort show for 13 years. It's always been mine. It's been personal, right? And I'm I've never really entertained the fact that hey, you could actually meet these people. And then it was oh my god, what if they're assholes? What if it ruins my perception of the show? I was just lucky that it all went really well. What else happened in Liverpool? I went to the Cavern Club and all the Beatles stuff, because my brother is obsessed with the Beatles. So I vlogged a lot of that, took a lot of pictures. I bought so much merch. The Cavern Club are I know they'll clap their hands when they see me coming, because I have head empty, no thoughts, and merch collector. I spent a lot of money. I really liked Liverpool. The bus drivers in Liverpool are the kindest bus drivers I've ever met in my life. Do you remember a minute ago when I said if there's more than 2 steps to getting from an airport to an event, I'm not going to want to do it? Liverpool, I had to get a bus, which is 1 step. But their card machine was down that day, so we were waiting to get on the bus, and then we got on, and he was like, no card, only cash. And I was like, sweet mother, Jesus Christ, I have no cash on me. And then he was like, it's fine, just get on the bus, it's fine. And he let us on the bus, and he didn't even charge us. Sweetheart. If we're talking then about concerts this year, I think that's all the conventions I went to. I'm not sure. I'll probably have to edit in if I went to others and forgot. But if we're talking about concerts, oh, this was the year of me doing shit that I've been waiting my whole life to do, because I finally saw Bring Me the Horizon live. Where is it? There you go. That is from the cover of That's the Spirit, which is one of my all-time favourite albums ever released. These are all my favourite albums. Or shoved my own finger into my mouth. I don't know if I've ever talked about these, but the finger tattoos are bands I love, or album-related things I love got to do with bands. Bring Me the Horizon have been a solid favourite since my teen years, and I never saw them live. My brother was in Dublin recording an EP, because my brother has a band, Lightarian. We're going to be talking about them in a minute. They were another highlighted this year. They were in Dublin recording an EP at Windmill Lane Studios, right? Which is like super prestigious recording studio. Very fancy, yeah. But the same night they were there, Bring Me the Horizon were also playing Three Arena, which was like just across the river from where they were recording. So I, in my little head, got to planning. I got on the internet and was like, how do I make this work? So, this story. We got the train up with the boys in the band. Myself and my mother went up with them on the train. Got to the train station, then got an Uber to like a little pizzeria, a really nice place, to settle them all down, get them food, get them ready, because it was an overnight recording session they were going to be doing. So they weren't starting until like 8 or 9 at night, so I had to sit them down, get them settled and ready, and then tell them, you are literally walking 5 minutes down the road and the recording studio is right there. You can see it from here. Are we all good? Are we all comfortable? Do we all know where we're going? Okay, I'm leaving. So I got an Uber to go across the river to Bring Me the Horizon, went to that show. Hearing Ollie Sykes' screams was like, it was like sex for your eardrums, hearing it live. The set list, banging. The visuals, stunning. I am such a slut for fire, confetti, pyro, anything visual at a show. It butters the biscuit, do you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of current acts kind of stripped back a lot of those bells and whistles, and I love that kind of shit. I love fire, I love all that shit, and Bring Me the Horizon had it in bucket loads, and it was just magic. It was so incredibly magic. I came out of that show loving them even more, if that's possible. But yeah, so I came out of the show and then had to get an Uber from Three Arena back to Windmill Lane. And here's when the fun kicks you in the crotch. So we gave them like a list of the party that was coming. They had like a roster of who was going to be there. And when my mom and the boys in the band went into the studio, they were like, listen, there's one member of our party that's going to be arriving a little bit late. And they were like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. So they all got let in and started setting up to start recording. They had to mic up. And I found myself stuck outside Three Arena trying to get a fucking Uber. Have you ever tried to get an Uber after a concert? It's like trying to catch a slippery eel in a barrel of many other slippery eels. It's impossible. I had like two Ubers that were like, yeah, I'll pick you up. And then they bailed on me. They fucking left me. Everyone around me was there like that with their phone, looking at their phone, trying to get Ubers. I was like, same. The fuck? I ended up getting a cab at like 12:30. My Uber driver was such a sweetheart. He was singing along to the radio with me, asking me about my day. He was so lovely. But then I get to the door of Windmill Lane. And then I text my mum and I'm like, I'm outside. She comes outside and just gives me this look. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I then get let into the building through the first door. And then I'm met by a guy who's like, who's this? And then a girl comes along with a little clipboard. She was working with the band, I think. Lovely, lovely woman. And she's like, oh, she's with the band. And he's like, who is she? Who is she? Is she with the band? What band is she with? And I'm there. My ears are ringing. My hair is sweaty. My makeup is like almost gone. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I just got out of a show. I'm dehydrated. I'm trying to get into my brother to make sure he's doing okay and doesn't need my help with anything. So I just like, I'm with the band. I'm with Lightarian. And they're like, and I'm like, I don't know what more to do to prove it to you. Do you want my birth cert? My brother is in the band. So the girl who's there is like, yeah, she's on the list. This is Kate. She was on the roster. She's on the like pre-approved list of people or whatever who are allowed in. So I eventually get into the room and I'm like, my God, security is tight here. So we spent the whole night overnight in this recording studio until like 6 or 7 a.m. They got their whole EP recorded and it's banging. It's great. It's crazy even telling that story now because it feels outdated. They have another musical project due out soon-ish. Let's just say they're releasing singles. I think they just put out one and they're just about to put out one. And the next single that Lightarian are about to put out is probably my favourite song I've heard all year long. It's definitely my favourite song that my brother has ever written. I can't give a name or a date or anything because like, I don't even know when the fuck it's coming out, but I will probably update you. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. I'll keep you updated. Anyway, so that was that Dublin trip. That was so chaotic, and there's so many funny moments. We were at the train station at like 6:30 in the morning, and our train wasn't until 9. We had all just pulled an all-nighter. We were cold. We were shivering. We were taking turns walking around the train station in twos, trying to stay awake until our train, because the ticket lady wouldn't let us switch our train tickets to an earlier train. That's probably a memory I don't think I will ever forget. Shivering in Dublin fucking train station, just trying to stay awake. I never want to see that train station again, long as I live. But if we're talking about events, the best event I attended all year long, it's gonna be no surprise if you know me. This lady right up here, light of my life. I have loved Taylor Swift so long. I went to the Eras tour this year. I was one of the absolute lucky few who won the Great War. I managed to get tickets. It's a long story. I pre-ordered Midnights. She put out signed CDs for Midnights, and I was like, oh, the collector in me. You know, the little 5-year-old feral child that runs my brain and holds my bank card in her left hand and any cents in the other. She threw away the cents and went, buy now. Tap, tap, tap. I pre-ordered Midnights, which is how I got in to get the code for the Eras tour. I got tickets. Now, the day of the Eras tour was really funny because I had a really bad headache. I felt like absolute shit, but it was probably one of the best days of my life. I got the bus, which it was really weird that it was on in the Aviva and not Croke Park, but I think there was some kind of sporting match on in Croke Park and they couldn't do it. I don't know. I'd never been in the Aviva. It's a nice venue. I walked in the door at like 5:15 and got second row. I had front pitch standing to the right, and I ended up being second row right in front of the main stage. God must be real, because he was watching over me that fucking day. I rocked up with a headache, late. I usually queue from like 8 in the morning, okay? Walking into a venue at 5:15 for me is like nuts. And I got second row. I was so close to her, guys. The whole Folklore set, most of the Evermore set. She did 22 also on the main stage. She did a bunch of songs on the main stage, and it was magic. It was magic, and it's the best show I've probably ever been to my whole life. Which is saying something, because I went to the 1989 tour and I went to the Reputation tour. And the Eras tour, in my opinion, is still probably the best. Even though, hot take, this is probably going to be a hot take, I preferred the set list for the 1989 tour because it's my favourite album of all time. I had just gotten into her before then, and I think it's the best album ever. But I got a 1989 song as one of my surprise songs for Dublin. It was This Love. It was This Love and Ours, and there were tears. I don't know why I love her so much, to be honest. We're going off tangent now. We're really going off road. Stay with me, won't you? Buckle up. Like when I was younger, I was super into heavy metal and rock music and very heavy stuff. And then I got into Taylor Swift. And I remember, I don't think I liked her. Like, I really don't think I liked her. And then it was like somebody flipped a switch one night and I woke up and was like, oh, I don't like her. I'm in love with her. And I have just been an absolute ride or die ever since. So those were the events I went to this year. We're really going to have to start speeding this shit the fuck up. We are 23 minutes in. Holy Mother of Christ, I really could just talk forever. So since we finished with concerts, let's stay on the topic of music. Favourite album this year is probably either Clancy by 21 Pilots or Tortured Poets by Taylor. Love both of them. Think they're great, fantastic albums. 21 Pilots, also one of my favourite bands. It's upside down, but like, hello. Scaled and Icy, which was the last 21 Pilots album, I liked it. Bit of an unpopular opinion, but I thought it was fun. It was bouncy. Clancy, on the other hand, one of the best things they've probably ever put out. In my opinion, it might even be level with Vessel, which is something I never thought I'd say, because it's probably one of my favourite albums. Tortured Poets, love it. Think it's great. I think it's a better album than Midnights. I think it's stronger than Midnights. And Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, probably one of my favourite Taylor Swift songs ever. And I think that is just because it has the sample of it's the last one of the last bars in Champagne Problems is in that song, and it like set off alarm bells in my head as soon as I heard it. Champagne Problems, one of my favourite songs. I'm a simple girl. If a song reminds me of another song, I'm going to fucking like it. That being said, I do also love Down Bad, and Down Bad was a grower. I did not love Down Bad when I first heard it, and then I saw it live and went, oh, we love it now. I think The Line by 21 Pilots is probably one of the best songs to come out this year as well. And yes, I've seen the live version before you even asked me. Did you see the live version? Yes, I did. I have seen the live version so many times. My computer just starts playing it when I turn it on. I turn on the computer and it goes, here, The Line, live. Yes, with that sexy Tyler Joseph scream. I'm a simple girl. I grew up on Linkin Park. Give me a vocalist that can scream. Oh. Another favourite of mine this year in terms of music was In Love with a Ghost by Lightarian. Again, my brother's band. I've talked about them at length. They do have a new song coming out, and it's killing me that I can't give you guys a date because I think I know when it's coming out, and I think I know what the cover art's going to be. I've heard the song. I can't get it out of my head. I'm so excited for this one. So I'm getting ahead of the crowd. Oh my god. Ultimate fucking hipster. My favourite song this year is a song that isn't even released yet. Oh, that makes me sound like such a knobhead. Yeah, I'm still drinking out of my Halloween mug. I have problems letting things go. I got a mouthful of air and then some flat Pepsi. Delicious. And then we got to talk about shows. TV shows. The main thing I do here on YouTube. So this year, I really did try to make an effort to split things equally between Patreon and YouTube. You guys know this was always a Walking Dead channel. It was always like strictly Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead. We kept it in that universe. But over the last 2 years, I really have fucking tried to bring a little bit of something different over here. So we did it with the Doctor Who reactions. We did it with the Bridgerton reactions. We did it with The Last of Us. Shows like that. I try every now and again to throw something different here. And this year there was so many good shows. Like so many good shows that the last month there hasn't been a whole lot on. And I've been like, oh my god, give me something. Thank God Squid Game and whatever starting back up, because some of my favourite shows this year, you know what's coming. You know what I'm about to fucking talk about. The Ones Who Live. That might be my absolute favourite show I have seen all year long. I did a whole breakdown video on it. We did reactions for it. There's a lot of content on my channel for that show. I think it's the best thing to come out of 2024 in terms of TV. Listen, those of us who've been with The Walking Dead for a very long time, like me, we know Denai and Andy, they are incredible actors. But I feel like giving them this standalone show brought in fans that maybe hadn't seen The Walking Dead or hadn't bothered with The Walking Dead. It exposed them to an audience outside of just The Walking Dead. The praise they were getting online, I felt like people were praising me. You know what I mean? People were like, oh my god, Denai's killing it. Oh my god, Andrew Lincoln is killing it. Who knew he could act like that? And I'm there in the corner like, I think it's definitely probably the strongest spin-off to come out of The Walking Dead. I mean, I enjoyed Dead City. If we're talking about Daryl Dixon, I did enjoy this season, but I don't feel like it was as strong as the last season. I think if we were doing rankings of shows this year, The Ones Who Live would probably be like an S tier, like top tier, and Daryl would be just one just beneath that. I did like Daryl Dixon. I think some of the choices they made regarding characters was so questionable. It felt really good to have Carol back on our screens, but again, I did a whole breakdown about season 2 of Daryl Dixon. There was reactions. If you want to see it, it's all here on my channel. I just realised my hair is looking incredibly suspiciously flat. What in the Christ is going on? I should have wore a hat. Is it too late to put a hat on? No, it's not. Is it? Got a gaslight you thinking I was wearing a hat the whole time. And listen, I don't think I talk about Norman Reedus enough. I love that man. I don't think I talk about him enough. His acting abilities. Not now. We're praising Norman Reedus. His acting abilities, I don't know, man. I see him sometimes and it just blows me away. Especially his crying face. When he starts crying, I just want to like rip off an angel's wings and dab his eyes delicately with them. I can't wait to see. He's in an upcoming film coming out next year. Is it called Ballerina? I think it's called. I absolutely love him, and I'm so happy to see him booked and busy. Obviously, yeah, he's got Daryl going on, but he also has a film or two coming out that I love him. I love him. Listen, I fell in love with that man back in like 2016, and it's been like choo choo all aboard the crazy train ever since. I never left. So that's The Walking Dead, and like I talk about this a lot on Patreon. We do live streams like every 2 or 3 weeks on Patreon. I do talk about this a lot on Patreon. The Walking Dead fandom, it's felt different this year. Do you guys kind of agree with that? It's felt different this year. You know, when The Walking Dead ended, everyone was scared that the hype would die down or go away. Now, we have had a lot of content. We've had a lot of spin-offs. I personally still think that we should go with Tales from The Walking Dead. I think that was a great concept for a show. They just kind of left that dead in the water. Yeah, but I feel like this year, there was a lot of hype and a lot of buzz around The Ones Who Live. There was buzz around Daryl Dixon as well, but I feel like the last 2 months, everything has just been so quiet. The Walking Dead fandom has felt different this year. And I can't really put my finger on it or explain what it is. Another show that just held my heart. I don't think you guys are going to be all that, shocked. The Vampire. What? I nearly said The Vampire Diaries. We are doing a rewatch that on Patreon, but that is not the show I was going for. The Stefan interview with the Vampire. Season 2. This show surprised me so delightfully because season 1, in my opinion, is probably the most perfect season of television ever. Ever. The writing, the acting, the nuance, the costuming, the set, the pacing. I argue with a wall. Argue with a fucking wall. It is the best show of all time. So when season 2 came around, I was like, I am in for a letdown here. I'm not going to love this as much as I loved season 1. I know this. I'm going to have to mentally prepare myself. And then season 2 came out, and I think I like it as much, if not more, than season 1. Bitch, when I tell you I was shocked. So I went back and I reread all of the Interview with the Vampire books. That's something else I've been loving this year. You can't even really fucking see them. They're all here. I have them all here beautifully displayed, but because they're not lit up like a fucking Christmas tree, my computer screen is like, you don't need to see them. Then why bother putting them on display? The Penguin was another show I really loved. Again, look, I adore Colin Farrell. I heard he was in a project and I went, say less, I'm going to watch it. Loved it. The acting in that was absolutely intense. Agatha All Along was another show that I really enjoyed. And do you know what's crazy about that, actually? I had someone come up to me. I was out shopping with my mother in Tesco, and I had someone, I was walking past 2 people, and they kind of were like, hey, like, I like your videos. And I just assumed it was Walking Dead. And I was like, oh, sick, you know? And then they mentioned Agatha, and I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, I don't think I've seen anyone from Ireland covering Agatha All Along. So, like, it was really cool to find an Irish content creator. They had found me and subscribed to me because of Agatha. And I do kind of forget that anytime I do a new show, it brings in new audiences. I still just assume, hello, are you here watching this? You obviously love The Walking Dead. I forget that that's not necessarily the case. And that was crazy, by the way. Thank you so much to that person who came up to me. If you are watching this for some reason, I skipped out of Tesco very, very happily that day. But yeah, I loved Agatha. I thought the vibes were perfect for Halloween. I really liked the acting. I think that worked well as a 1-season show. I think I read somewhere it might be getting a season 2 or something. I don't know. I have rewatched it since and I'm like, it's nice and clean and cohesive as a 1-season show. I have such a bone to pick with miniseries and shows that just like, they give us a season of 8 episodes and then if we do get a season 2, I hope you're not fucking excited for it because you're going to have to wait 2 years. By the time season 2 comes out, all momentum is lost and people have lost interest. It pisses me off to my soul. I missed like 26 season long episodes. 26 episode long seasons. Let me into a writer's room. I know what I'm doing. I swear. You know, back in the day when there was like filler episodes, there was bullshit episodes, there was random ass episodes, there was episodes that like were thrown in and were referenced once 18 seasons later. X-Files, I'm looking at you. I missed that shit. That was so much fun. I feel like the intensity of shows now is so fucking crazy because you get 8 episodes where every second counts. And if you look away or you sneeze for a millisecond, you've missed 4 deaths, an introduction, and we've also switched countries. Did I mention Bridgerton? Because if not, oh my god, Bridgerton. Bridgerton is the type of show that just makes you a little bit randy for like the touching of a hand. Anthony and Kate's season is my favourite season of all time. I really, really loved this season. I think if I was to rank them, it would go to season 2, season 3, and then season 1. I really loved season 3. This season made me like Colin. I remember Colin and Anthony back in season 1. I didn't like neither of them. I felt so hardcore in love with Anthony in season 2. The fucking B scene. He set the standards so high for every man in the world with that 1 season of television. Yeah, my computer agrees. Fuck yeah, he did. But I really liked this season 2 and I really liked the development of Penelope. I liked that people, like, there was such discussion about the show. Everyone was like, they had an opinion, they had a take regarding the characters, regarding like the way that the show was going. One thing I will say about this season of Bridgerton, I really do feel like they should have focused on Penn more. They should have. It's Penn's season. And I brought that up in a few reactions. And then I had people explaining the show to me like I'd never seen it before, going, well, it's an ensemble cast and there's multiple storylines. What did you expect? And I'm like, well, yes, but I expected Penn, the main character of this season, to at least be the focal point of this season. I feel like some storylines they overstepped their mark a little bit in terms of screen time. Penn should have been the focal point the way last season was the focal point. Kate and Anthony were the focal point. And there was other subplots going on. Same way with season 1. There was other subplots going on. This season, I feel like the line between main plot and subplot just got a little bit hazy at points. But that's just me. Maybe I just love Penn and I wanted to see more of her. Doctor Who as well. Oh, I cannot wait for the Christmas special. I'm going to be doing a reaction for the Christmas special next week. I liked the most recent episode of Doctor Who. I think last year's Christmas special was one of my favourite Christmas specials I've seen in a very long time. One thing I'll say about Doctor Who is I think every single one of my reactions got copyrighted this year, I think. And it wasn't when they were live, it wasn't when they were up, it was like months after, which was really fucking weird. And it was like boom, 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 one by one. Suddenly an issue with all of them. And I have heard from other people, allegedly, that's just the BBC, that's how they do things. That's the network that airs Doctor Who. So I'm like, I hope there's not going to be any issues with the Christmas special. But if there is, Patreon, I'm telling you lads, the videos over there, so much more relaxed. I don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. I can relax with the editing. Loved Fallout. Was Fallout this year as well? How long was this fucking year? I have Fallout on the list. That wasn't this year, was it? Very fun show. Great cast. It is the kind of show, though, that's kind of fallen into the hazy territory of my mind. I don't really remember what happened in it. I can't remember a whole lot, except for the fact I was like really in love with and super hot for that sexy space cowboy guy that had no skin. The things I admit on the internet. Mr. Goggins, was that his name? Or was that his name in real life? I also did a rewatch of The Last of Us because... Shush! Season 2 is coming out. I loved it just as much the 18th time that I watched it this year as I did the first time. We don't have a release date for that yet either, do we? Season 2. Give it to me now. Sweet mother of God, I have waited long enough. I cannot wait for season 2. Pedro Pascal has been fucking killing it. And I love him. I love him and I think he's splendid. I tried to be chill about liking him these days. It doesn't work. I can't wait. I haven't seen Gladiator yet. I'm going to see it this weekend, I think. Gladiator 2. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think I've seen the first film. If I have, I was a child. Do I remember it? Nope. Am I going to rewatch it? No. I don't need to know the plot. I just need to see it with my eyes. Pedro Pascal, the man that you are. He's also going to be in, oh God, what is it? Fantastic Four or something next year. Can't wait for that. But The Last of Us Season 2 is top of my list. I'm excited for Mandalorian as well, but The Last of Us Season 2, it recaptured that magic that like The Walking Dead used to have, you know, when it was airing. So give me that, please. I have to talk about The Acolyte. I've got to talk about The Acolyte. Listen, I don't even want to talk about it because I can feel people popping off in the comments. But if you've made it to minute 41 of this video, I feel like we've weeded out some of the weaklings. If you're still here, congratulations. I really did like The Acolyte. I thought it was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Now, I know when you step into a Star Wars universe show, you're risking it because I know the fans are super passionate. And as a very passionate individual myself, I get it. People are protective of the shit that they love. I started reactions for The Acolyte because I did reactions for most other Star Wars projects. I did reactions for all the Star Wars films, I think, at some point on Patreon as well. So I went into this thinking like this is going to be fun, and it was fun, and I did like it. I stopped doing reactions. The comments, some of the comments, it was just toxicity to a level that I wasn't comfortable with. And it was mostly hating on the show and the actors and the story. But like some of it was targeted towards me as well, which I wasn't necessarily used to. So I was just like, fuck this, I'm out. I don't think I'll probably ever touch another Star Wars project again. I don't feel like it's particularly welcoming. I know there's great creators in that space that do work really hard for inclusivity and, you know, just to be normal within a fandom, I guess. But it kind of did put me off, I have to say. I always do feel for the actors because even if something isn't for you, there's still a whole team of people that put their blood, sweat and tears into a project for fucking months to make it happen. So I hope all the people that were like involved with that show are doing okay and feel okay. I would simply I would lash out. If that was me and I was in a show and all these people started like taking the piss out of me, I'd log the fuck on and plug the fuck in, you know what I'm saying. Another show I actually really liked this year and I haven't gotten around to finishing yet was Encounter Party. So if you guys like D&D, if you guys like role-playing type shows, or type games, sorry, D&D is so much fucking fun. It is balls to the wall crazy. So it's a D&D campaign. There's different storylines, different characters, people acting it out, obviously. One of the major reasons I went with it is because Carrie Payton was in it. And you guys know I adore that man. He is just an absolute adorable, scrumptious little dude. Little dude. He's like 6 foot fucking 2. But I really enjoyed it. It's unfortunate because I think I was like in the middle of doing reactions for it around the time when my granddad died. And recording was really difficult after that. So I never got back into it. I mean, I struggled I struggled picking up Patreon reactions because I upload every day over there. So there's like 1 reaction a day. And I think there's 3 days a week where there's 2 reactions a day. And so my granddad passed. And then like 3 or 4 weeks later, my grandmother passed. So I was just getting back on my feet and my grandmother passed. And then it was like, oh my God, having to go through all that again. I think it was around that time I stopped reactions for it. So I do need to get back into it because I was only like 4 episodes away from the end. And I really liked it. And yeah, so if you guys like that kind of show or those kind of games and this one slipped by you, definitely check it out. So yeah, that's some music, oh my God, I never mentioned Riley Ritchie. Oh, okay, I'm obsessed with Jacob Anderson and I have been since season 1 of Interview with the Vampire. Okay. My Spotify Wrapped last year, like my top artist was Riley Ritchie. My Spotify artist this year, he was my second artist this year. Taylor was my first artist, but my top song was The Greatest. The Greatest by Riley Ritchie. I'm pretty sure it was in like my top 2 last year as well. I have just been bumping Riley Ritchie like there is no tomorrow. I think it's because it's been like a rough year and I need music, a very specific playlist, and for some reason there was a lot of Riley Ritchie on there. Who is Jacob Anderson? He plays Louis in Interview with the Vampire. We're going all over the place with this video. Next, let's talk about interviews. So like I said, on the channel here we do a lot of reactions, we do a lot of reviews, but my favourite style of content is interviews. I started doing interviews years back with some of the Walking Dead cast and crew, and then more recently I've been broadening that horizon to any creative mind that has been a part of a project I like or has sparked inspiration for me. And this year, guys, I have done more interviews this year I think than I have in my entire YouTube career. I don't know what was wrong with me at the start of the year. I went fucking balls to the wall and saying we went into hyperdrive in terms of interviews. And I don't want to be mean, but we're probably just going to get up the playlist so I don't forget anyone. Obviously, I did a lot of interviews this year. Some of the highlights were, of course, Assad Zaman, who plays Armand in Interview with the Vampire. That might be one of the most nervous I've been before an interview. It's the show is my hyperfixation. I adore it. I have the logo for season 3 tattooed on me. Season 3 isn't even out yet. This was given to us in a trailer, like a teaser trailer for season 3 for Vampire Lestat. I got it tattooed the day after. This show has its grips in me. It has its roots in me. Spindly roots. Love that shit. So getting to talk to Assad was like, it made my soul smile. But yeah, obviously some other highlights this year in regards to interviews was, I'm just scrolling through this list, I got to talk to Dan Liu, who was a director and editor for the Walking Dead universe and of course has also worked on Star Trek Picard and Strange New Worlds. Dan is an absolute sweetheart. I got to chat with Jeffrey Pierce, who is, oh my God, what a guy. He played Tommy and Perry in The Last of Us universe, so he was in the game and he was in the show. I got to talk with Alan Taylor, who is a director and a producer. He's worked on a whole bunch of projects. He's been associated with like Marvel and stuff, but I got to talk with him specifically because he was the executive producer and the director for the first 2 ever episodes of Interview with the Vampire. So he was like the executive producer for season 1 of Interview with the Vampire, and he directed the first 2 episodes, which are my favourite 2 episodes of television ever. So getting to geek out and fangirl with him and pick his mind, talk about scenes that stood out to me. Alan, I cannot thank you enough, man. I got to talk with Eleanor Matsuura. Oh my God. I love her, okay? I love her. And she is an app. When I say she's a sweetheart, we're mutuals on Instagram, right? And anytime she views my story, I feel like crying a little bit. I put up like a picture of, I don't know what it was, like a burnt pizza that I made or some shit, and she saw the story and I was like, Eleanor, I'm sorry you had to see my burnt pizza. I forget that other people can see my content. It's not just for us. I feel like there's a very weird us sense that I get when I film or post anything. I'm like, well, it's just my viewers that are going to see it. And then like, you know, someone like Eleanor will see it and I'm like, what are you doing here? Obviously she plays Yumiko in The Walking Dead, which is why it was such a huge deal to me. I also got to talk with Lisa Berry, who played Billy and Death in Supernatural. Now it's funny because Lisa, I did that interview just before I went to Crossroads. So she technically, outside of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, is like the first person that I've ever met and spoken with from Supernatural. And what a sweetheart she was. Got to talk with Matthew Jeffers, who played Nat from The Ones Who Live. Again, such a fucking sweetheart. Can I just put a pin in this for a second and say, it's a commonality I'm seeing with all of these super artsy people. These people who are very like expressive, be it in theatre or acting or writing. There's a commonality that they're all like really nice people. And I mean like even when the cameras aren't rolling. So before I start the interview or after I finish recording and you know we say our thank yous, we're getting ready to hang up and end the call. It's consistent throughout, even when the cameras aren't on them. The grace and the kindness, I don't know, it blew me away. It's been blowing me away. Obviously I got to talk with Garrett Dillahunt, which was fucking insane because I love Garrett Dillahunt, let me just say. I loved him as John Dory in Fear the Walking Dead, which is where I became aware of him and he became aware of me. We've been mutuals for a while and I was like, dude, we should do an interview. And he was just take a shot every time I say someone's the sweetest. You won't be able to stand by the end of the video. He was the sweetest though. Very funny guy too. I got to talk with Gaylan Hurd, which is like one of my top 5 all-time interviews that I've ever wanted to do. If you gave me my dream team of interviews, it's Pedro Pascal, number 1. Pedro, my God, let me pick your brain. Norman Reedus at number 2. Probably Jeffrey Dean Morgan, number 3. Gaylan Hurd at number 4. And probably... Maybe Robert Kirkman for 5. What is my thumb doing? Let me interview you, Robert. I would just really like to get to talk to like the creator of that universe. I think it would be, really sick. But yeah, Gail, getting to talk to Gail was like catching lightning in a bottle. It took a lot. It took a lot of planning. I'm not gonna lie. It took a lot of planning and a lot of time to come through. But such a sweetie, such a kind woman. Very easy to speak with, which I wasn't anticipating. I didn't think she'd be as conversational as she was. I got to talk to Christopher Geary as well, who played the vampire Sam from Interview with the Vampire. We got to talk all things Interview with the Vampire, growing up as like a nerd or a geek. Again, just a nice dude. I got to chat with Samantha Ferris, also from Supernatural. She played Ellen in Supernatural. Then there was my Halloween special I did where I talked to it. I'm looking at my other screen, by the way. I'm reading off the screen on my thumbnails because I would never remember these otherwise. I got to talk with Jameson Newlander, who played Alan Frog from The Lost Boys. Roxanne Duran, who played Madeline from Interview with the Vampire. I forgot that was this year. I got to chat with Frankie, who played Xavier in Saw 2. Georgina Campbell from Barbarian. Have you guys seen Barbarian? It's one of my favourite horror films ever. And I got to talk with Georgina, who played the lead in Barbarian. I got to talk with Lauren Lee Smith, who played Danielle from Trick or Treat. That is probably my favourite film of all time. My favourite Halloween film ever. I only watch the film once a year on Halloween because it is holy. I got to talk with Tahira Sharif, who played Rebecca Jessel from The Haunting of Bly Manor. These have like slipped my mind and they're just coming back because I'm looking at the thumbnails. I got to talk more recently with Presley Cash, who was in the Mean and the I Can See You music videos for Taylor Swift. She was at the Eras tour, brought out on stage. She's a musician. She's an author. Way harder to get out than it should have been. And I've never met somebody who matches my levels for being a fangirl as much as Presley did. But probably one of my absolute standouts this year in terms of interviews, my like achievements. And I don't talk about achievements much because maybe it's an Irish thing. We don't really like to talk about that kind of stuff. We don't really like praise. But definitely probably the highlight of my whole year was getting to talk to Tomo Milicevic, who is... He's in so many of my memories. His music, his playing is in so many of my like highlight moments of my life. I met him for the first time when I was 14 in Birmingham. He was the guitar player for 30 Seconds to Mars, and then later went on to tour with like artists like Zed, stuff like that. Mars were my favourite band for a very, very long time, and although I don't listen to them as much as I used to, and although I don't like go to see them live anymore, they were so special to me for like a solid decade of my life. I mean, I have I don't know how many 30 Seconds to Mars related tattoos. That's Mars. I have another one here, I think. They meant the world to me. And I remember meeting him and talking to him before at meet and greets, at 30 Seconds to Mars meet and greets, and getting to sit with him, and we were on for like over an hour, getting to sit with him and actively speak with him about music, about the creative process, about touring, about stuff that as a fan you would want to hear about. Because that's why I do these interviews too. I understand that in press junkets and stuff, people don't get a whole lot of time. They only get a certain amount of time with the person, and you have to ask the basic 3 questions that everyone else fucking asks. But on my platform, I always make it clear to the guest, listen, these usually run a little bit long. Is that okay with you? And more often than not, usually people are like, oh yeah, like totally. And then you get to really pick their brain and go in about like their start in whatever the creative field was, their childhood, their background in the arts, if it is the arts. Talking with Tomo was genuinely the highlight of my year, probably, in terms of videos. I went to see Mars for the first time in Birmingham. It was Christmas. It was December 1st, 2010. First time I ever saw 30 Seconds to Mars live. And it was this same fucking room I came home to after the show and crashed at when I got home from the airport. came to this room and slept for like a day. I was so worn out. Same room I get to interview him in. You know what I mean? And it felt so special, and he's such a nice guy. Again, I feel like everyone I have reached out to and everyone I have interviewed or worked with before, I've never talked with a single person that I'm like, they were an absolute asshole. Some people are easier to talk to than others, for sure. Some personalities aren't, necessarily compatible with mine. That doesn't mean they're assholes. But I've never walked away from an interview genuinely feeling like, oh my God, that sucked. They were so mean. Everyone I've reached out to, they've been so nice. So fucking nice. And this year was just a great year for interviews. I've done more this year than I ever have. And I have more planned. I also got to interview my brother's band as well. Not letting that slide. It was my first ever in-person interview. And it was so weird having people in my room with me. But we were talking all things music. All things how they met, their kind of style, their influence. Because I have a feeling that they are going to be going places in 2025, and they are the ones to watch. So getting to sit down with them at this point in their career and talk with them all things music, it was great. It was really great. It was really weird to try and talk to my brother in that setting, because me and my brother, we can communicate with just sounds and eye movements. So having to talk somewhat professionally in a setting like this, it's an interview. It was funny. It was fucking funny. They're such talented guys, so I can't wait to see what they do next year. But yeah, those have been some of my favourites from this year. Some of my favourite shows, concerts, events, music, memories. I think I might do this every single year, and I'm kind of angry that I haven't done it before now. Like a year in review, like a Spotify Wrapped, but for my YouTube, like a YouTube Wrapped. Because I think it would be nice in future years to look back on this and to reminisce about what each year held for me. And as somebody with a self-proclaimed memory of a goldfish, I don't always remember what I did throughout the year. Do you know what I mean? And if I can't remember it now, who's to say I'm going to remember it in 6 years? So I think this is a great way of trying to remember what I'm doing, to look back on eventually. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being a part of this journey with me this year. It's been really busy for videos. I know the last month has been somewhat quiet video-wise. But like I said, next week we're going to be picking up with What If and Squid Game, and probably Doctor Who as well, the Christmas special. There's also going to be interviews thrown in around the place. I have no idea what the upload schedule looks like for them. Like I said a minute ago, this year has been kind of suck-ass a lot of the time for me. So I want to thank you guys for the love and the support, the DMs, the comments. I do read them. I'm not just like a robot behind the screen that just never reads comments. I do go through them. You guys know I'm pretty active on socials. And there was times this year when I really needed pick-me-ups, and strangers from all over the world were there for me. So I want to thank you. I hope you guys are having a lovely holiday season if you're celebrating. I hope whatever you get up to over the next month, that it's good and safe. And I really hope 2025 is a good year. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I love and appreciate y'all so much. Oh my God, I just said y'all. Oh, the American terminology is making its way into my lingo. The link to my Patreon's in the description, where I do a whole bunch of reaction content and extended content and exclusives. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere else you can find me is also in the description if you want to come hang out. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you all soon.